everybody.
Hey everybody, it's Super J, and it's time for Super J and the Millennials. It looks like it's actually too high. Anyway, let me make some adjustments to our camera real quick so that we can talk to you all. All right. Okay, hi everybody. Today is Super J's 42nd episode of True Confessions. And so what we're going to talk about today, first and foremost, we want to thank you for joining us. At the same time, we want to let everybody know that we're actually going to continue progressing, and we're getting ready to start a series of topics. You know, they're going to be a couple weeks long. So today we're starting a series called Torment versus Transparency. And the reason that I selected this, torment versus transparency, torment as far as what types of torments versus transparency, being real. Which one of these is worse? Is it worse to be in torment or have fear? Because the torment is fear, okay? Versus being transparent. Is it worse to have people be able to see you and be able to see through who you are and you be open to that? Which of these is worse? So the reason this is coming out is I just want to recap on why we started the True Confessions in the first place. At the beginning of the day, or at the end of the day, I should say, True Confessions was my attempt and opportunity to be honest, to be transparent, to have acceptance of self, and to promote self-love. And at the end of the day, doing that and allowing other people to share in that in a judgment-free zone. So, as you all know, I have a book that I wrote in. I made a submission. It's an autobiographical submission to this book called Lessons Beneath the Mask. And that book release event is April 29th in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm really excited about that. And I want everybody to come. If you look at the announcement beneath this stream, it will announce what today's topic was, but it also has the book, the covers front and back of the book, Lessons Beneath the Mask, From Pain to Promise. And it has the back cover where you can actually read what this book is about. But at the end of the day, it's really about having an opportunity to look beneath some masks. Some of these people, the people who have written in this book, look beneath their mask, be able to see, and they're exposing their challenges. They're exposing their pain. They're exposing things that are not comfortable. But we're doing that because I did it because I chose transparency over the torment of fear. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the torment of fear and why I call fear torment. When you are afraid, your body goes through a physiological response, okay? And different people may experience it differently, but generally you have a general same kind of physiological response. Some people's heart rates may begin to accelerate. You know, some people may begin to sweat, and depending on how afraid you are, how scared you are, some people lose control of bodily functions. Some people pass out. There's a lot of different things that can happen. But imagine being afraid, and I'm going to express a sensation. You know what it feels like to be dreaming, for example, and feel like you're falling. Have you ever fallen in a dream and you're jarred awake out of that dream because of the fall and that fear of that dropping feeling? Well, I was going through a situation just a little under a year ago where something so traumatic happened in my life that it put me in a space where I was afraid. I was extremely afraid, so much so that I was having what I would call panic attacks. Okay, and you all never would know this because we're so good at wearing masks. Everybody potentially can wear a mask at any given time. For example, as you'll see with the book, it says, when we go to school, when we go to church, our religious institutions, our community facilities, we're always trying to give the presentation, how are you? Well, I'm fine. How about you? And we say it with a smile, and we say it with zeal. Yesterday, I was at a function, and a man said to me, smile. Now, it's not usually a challenge for me to be smiling, and usually you don't catch me without a smile. But yesterday, at this one particular point in time, I think I was wearing a particular pair of shoes, and my feet were hurting. My feet were hurting really, really bad. And it was obviously showing on my face. And what they saw was more pain, but they didn't recognize that from me because, again, they're so used to seeing me smiling. So the person made the comment, smile. And I said, you know what? Actually, I didn't realize I wasn't smiling, but I could tell you this, my feet hurt. So if I'm not smiling, that's probably why. And, and then I was actually able to kind of relax and joke about it. It was like, well, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. The price we pay to be beautiful sometimes. But anyway, at the end of the day, I want to go back to fear. So we wear these masks because we are afraid of something. And a lot of times we're afraid of transparency. Now, when I did the True Confessions, you guys remember when we first started, my whole position was, what are you going to do to me? What is the worst thing that can happen? Well, there's a lot of things that could potentially happen, but what is the worst thing that could happen by me being honest and true to myself first and foremost, and then showing you that it's okay for you to be true and honest with yourself as well? Because I'm going on a journey, I'm taking a journey, and I want to bring as many people with me as possible, because freedom is being free from fear, free from torment, free from the pain and the anguish of torment. Okay? So going back to these panic attacks, what it felt like was that I was falling just spontaneously all day long. I could be sitting straight up like I'm sitting right now, and all of a sudden it would feel like my heart was dropping, like I was physically falling, hundreds of feet down, but I'm sitting still. And that panic, you jump. I was doing that all day long. And this went on for several weeks. So much so that my blood pressure started to go up. I've never had issues with high blood pressure at all. And my resting heart rate has always been pretty low. So my resting heart rate even began to elevate. And I was seeing a bunch of doctors. By the way, I was videotaping. We were doing confessions during this time. And this is what I'm trying to say about masks, okay? I was not afraid to expose what was going on because if you remember, I talked a lot about what was happening, but you could clearly not see that I'm having a panic attack all day long, that I'm jolting and I'm being jolted from the inside out constantly all day long. And it was non-stop. And this went on for several weeks. And so I went to my primary care physician, and every time I would go, she was noting that my blood pressure was going up higher and higher and higher. And I had made a comment that last particular time that I went there, and I said, my blood pressure seems to be elevated every time I come in here to get it checked. It seems to be a little bit abnormal. So she looked at it, and she saw this trend where it was just going up and getting higher and higher. And she said, okay, what's going on with you? It's like, this is not normal. There is something happening. And I began to tell her and explain to her about a situation that was going on in my life. And I began to explain to her the sensation that I was getting, this panic sensation. And she began to say, okay, that sounds like anxiety attacks. Those sound like panic attacks. And I said, I think that's what it is, because I literally feel like I'm falling and I'm jolted, and it's constant all day. And it was horrible. I couldn't sleep. I didn't eat well. Things were just going horribly the wrong direction during that time. And when I say I didn't sleep, I'm saying I might doze off 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I'm awake. Because again, remember, I'm being jolted. So even trying to go to sleep, in my sleep, I'm jolted awake all night. This went on for a couple weeks. And so clearly your body can't function that way. And so I began to think about, what do people go through? You know, this can't possibly be something that is unique to me. This can't possibly be something, it was unique for me, you know, but it couldn't be a unique experience that only I'm experiencing. And it made me start to think about how people operate, and then even why some people wear their masks. And I think it ultimately comes down to fear. But if you are afraid, you are also being tormented, especially if that fear is strong enough that it stops you from living. It stops you from being who you are. If it stops you from being able to interact appropriately, okay? All of those different actions means that you are in bondage. I also, in the early days of the True Confessions, was making a statement. It was almost like an indictment against judgmental individuals, whether you're religious, whether you're whatever, it doesn't really matter. A lot of it went toward those who were so religious, these folks that are so holier than thou that they're no earthly good. And they're steadily putting folk in hell, okay? Because they are judging you. Curse you to hell. Okay, you think I got a skeleton? Well, how about we go into your house and open your doors? Let's open your closets. I guarantee you're not going to find any skeletons in mine, because I'm going to expose I'm pulling them out the closet before anybody can say anything. And I've always kind of been that way. I was a PK, as you guys know, but I was also a doctor's kid. And so because of the position that my dad held in the community, anything that I did that I feel could have had a negative feedback or negative repercussion on him, I was always the first to talk to him about it. You know, Dad, I did this. I think I made a mistake here. I'm in this predicament. I need some help. Whatever it was, I was always, and my dad is so cool though. He's very, very, very engaging, and it's actually very easy to talk to him. And it's easy really to talk to him about anything. To this point, at this stage in the game, I would say that my dad is my best friend. And the truth of the matter is, he probably always has been. He's, of course, always been my dad. He's been my father. But there came a point in our life where I really understood that my father is actually my friend, and my father looks at me as his friend as well. And so I appreciated that kind of a foundation where I could talk to both of my parents that way. And when I lost my mom, the only one that I had to go to that I can completely trust would be my father. So thinking about being in torment and being in fear, it causes people to do some very, very strange things. And some people get angry for no reason, or their behavior starts to become very sporadic and it looks irrational. Sometimes it even begins to look like you may be leaning more towards some kind of psychological disorder or malfunction, like something has happened up here, okay? Fear is torment. Torment is torture, okay? So imagine being tortured all day, every day, for years. I need to turn that down. My volume, because every time somebody does something, we're going to get that little dun-dun-dun-dun. That was actually a good cue, though. It's like on cue. It's like, it's torture, it's torture. Imagine being this all year round, 365 a day, a year. Dun-dun-dun-dun. But anyway, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is just imagine that. Imagine if that was you. it was me for a couple weeks, okay? I can't imagine being able to endure that for longer. I'm really amazed that I was able to endure it for the time that I did endure it. It was horrible. And so because I had been experiencing that and I was afraid, that actually helped to birth the true confessions, okay? And they were birthed because I decided I refuse to be afraid. God did not give me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Let me say that again. God did not give me the spirit of fear. This is a tormenting spirit, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So let me tell you what the opposite of power, love, and a sound mind. If you are afraid, you don't have that, because it said he didn't give me this. Instead, he gave me the opposite of this. So if you are in fear, your power is being stifled and diminished. Okay? Your mind, your mental capacity is being challenged. Your psyche, your emotions are being attacked. And it is very, very difficult to love. And if you remember, can you grab my little sign there? One of our themes this year is, of course, that we are sharing the love, okay? So all in keeping with sharing the love, we're going to talk a little bit about the book in a bit. I want to ask the millennials. First of all, hi, millennials. How you guys doing? I want to ask you guys some questions about having anxiety, having fear, being afraid to do something. Keyshawn, by the way, Keyshawn just got his job this week. Congratulations. Woo! It's actually his first job. That's great. He never went to work before, and now he's a student, graduating senior, and he has a job. So yay! Everybody gives Keyshawn, yeah, woo! That's a great feeling when you're a young man, because you can feel more productive, you can feel independent, all this and that and the other. But the reason I brought that up is, Keyshawn, you've never been to interviews before, right? How did you feel when you were going to your interview? What did it physically feel like? Tell us a little bit about that. Make sure you speak up.
The first one, it was pretty cool. I mean, I wasn't really nervous about it. All I did was go in and be myself, basically. But the second one going in, it was a different person, so I had to do the same thing, but make sure that I had the same base that I went in with.
To the first one?
Yeah.
How did you feel though? What was your, because you told me something happened the second time that you weren't expecting. What happened the second time that you weren't expecting?
Because the first time she said that it was going to be her and the general manager, but then when I got there, it was just the general manager, and I was like, oh.
Okay, so were you intimidated?
Oh, no, I was just like.
So what physically happened to your body?
Yeah, what did you feel?
Like I was sweating.
He was sweating. And what else happened? Did you notice anything else?
No,
did your speech change at all?
No.
Did you get a little more quiet, or did you get louder? What happened?
I think I stayed with the same voice that I had.
Stop picking your face. You have the same voice. I tell her that all the time. So you felt the only thing you could see was that you started sweating.
Yeah.
Were you feeling hot, or you just noticed was it like a cold sweat?
It wasn't hot, it was a cold sweat.
It was a cold sweat. So he got clammy. That's one of those I'm getting ready to throw up sweat. That's one of them sick, cold, and clammy sweats. Okay, and when you got the acknowledgement that you got the job, then what happened?
Oh, yeah, I just felt better. I wasn't sweating anymore.
You weren't sweating? And what happened with your emotion?
Like, I started talking louder.
You started speaking louder. You started feeling a little bit more confident. You started getting a little more excited, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you said, he was trying not to cheese. All of a sudden he had this huge smile on the inside that he felt that for whatever reason, he shouldn't present that on the outside. Now, so he kind of put on a little baby mask in a situation where he didn't really have to, but he didn't want to show that he was too excited. But I'm like, it's your first job. So they knew it was his first job. So I would expect the excitement, you know? So that's good. I'm just trying to make the point that stuff happens to your body physically when you are confronted with fear. Yakira, do you have any examples? You have to audition a lot. You have to go before you. In fact, you've auditioned for many kinds of things: cheer, acting, other things that may cause you to be afraid. Let me ask you a real big serious one. When you found out that you were pregnant with Skylar, what happened the first time the doctor mentioned it? Not before. Explain. Let's talk about that.
Well, the first emotion and the first feeling that I got was fudge. It's not really fudge, but y'all get the gist. Keep it PG for once. But also the feeling was, my heart started pumping kind of hard. Just because it's like, he said, the doctor said that right in front of my mom. So I was like, oh, great.
Oh, great.
This is awesome. But
this is awesome.
Yeah. So the first thing that I thought to do is, get out of it somehow, make it seem like the test is wrong, because there's always that chance that, the little stick test is wrong. You get false positives and false negatives all the time. So I kind of was just like, your test is wrong. There's no way, when there really was a way. But
denial.
Yeah, I went straight into denial. And he was like, well, there's another test we can try. And I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and try that with a lot of confidence. So you would think that I really was sure that I wasn't pregnant. The way
Actually, I was asking because the doctor was confident that his test was right. But Yakira went into such hardcore denial. All right.
With a straight face.
She was so straight faced and so matter of fact. I'm sorry, your test is wrong. You need to do something different. We need to take it again. And so I asked the doctor, I said, well, isn't there another test, like a blood test, maybe a quantitative, even something that you can take that not only says, yes, you are here, and this is how far along you are. I said, isn't it possible to do that? And he said, yeah. He said, but I'm pretty confident that we don't need that. And Yakira, your test is wrong. It is impossible that I can be pregnant. There's no way possible. All right? Yakira was so convicted.
And so convincing.
and so convincing. She did a Jedi mind trick on the doctor, because the doctor is like, maybe I need to do this other test. He started doubting himself. Now, Yakira mentioned her heart started pumping. What were you afraid of?
Well, at this time, Mom and I were fighting quite a lot. So
were
I
we?
think, yeah, we were. It was a bad time for us. So I think at this point, I was more just nervous of the judgment of my mom, first of all, and then the possibility that she just won't accept me anymore. She's like, yep, you're not my child. Get the fudge out my house, kind of thing. So I was just like, oh, well, this is gonna be an interesting day. But as soon as we left the doctor's, she was really supportive, and she was like, whatever happens, we'll figure it out, which was really reassuring. My heart was still pumping. I was still scared and nervous, because I'm like, well, she's just saying this now. But she don't know. She don't know what's going on yet. But yeah.
So it was about maybe a week later, and Yakira was having a birthday party. She was turning 12. And so for those of you who don't know how young Yakira was, she was turning 12. So she wasn't 12 yet when we got this information. Yeah. I was at her 12-year-old birthday party when the doctor called me and confirmed this blood test.
I remember that too.
Okay, what was that like?
Well, okay, so I remember I came back in because we were at Amazing Jake's, which it has a buffet and it has all these cool rides and laser tag. It's like an arcade slash.
It's like Dave and Buster's for younger people,
but
young
with roller coasters. Yeah. So, I remember I was going back in because I got some more food because I was like, all right, I've been playing for like 2 hours. Let's get some more food. And so I got some pizza and some pasta, and I went to sit down. And so I see that Mom was getting a call. So I was like, let me just leave this food here, go back, play some more. And so I think Mom noticed that because she was just like, as soon as the phone rang, I was like, okay, time to leave. And so, you know, my friends were like, all right, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, let's go play laser tag. And so I remember reading this sign that says, if you're pregnant, don't play. And I was like, well, son of a bitch. Like, I was like, what the? I was like, I'm going in anyway. I'm not pregnant. And so I went in.
Still in denial.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not pregnant. So I went in, played laser tag, came back. And then Mom goes, by the way, that was Normie, not the doctor. So I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And then, like, I think she might have gotten another call, but I wasn't there.
Normie is her godfather and my best friend.
Yeah, so I'm sure she probably got another call, but I just wasn't there for it. But she didn't address it, I don't think until, like, the next day.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin her birthday party.
Yeah, so
you know, and
we ended up just, like, having a birthday party. Like, she didn't even talk to me about it, except for that little bloop, that was Norm, you know. And so we just had, like, a normal birthday party. Like, there was nothing going on, no dirty laundry to, like, hang out. But I remember that night, I was like, all right, well, there's somebody else involved in this, so I should probably talk to them about it. And I talked to the guy, and he was like, well, you can't tell my mom. And I was like, well, my mom already knows, so that's probably going to be happening soon. I suggest you brace yourself for it. And yeah. But yeah, like I said, she didn't talk to me about it until like the next day. And I don't even remember what that conversation was. I think you picked
basically
me up.
just said the doctor called.
Yeah.
And so we went from there.
And
Okay.
then, like, we got John, and I think you told John before I told him, but you didn't tell me you told him. And then we went to go get some Burger King. Excuse me. And I think I was more scared about Jonathan finding out than I was about my mom. Just because, like, John is, like, of such high esteem in my eyes. Like, he's just someone who I've always looked up to. So it was just, like, I mean, I understood he would accept it, but it was still, like, scary to think, you know, he's going to see me differently. Things are really going to change. And John, he didn't really take his frustrations out on me, but you could tell, like, there was some type of emotion. Because we went to Burger King, and he was trying to punch flies in the face. I think he successfully did,
He knocked out a fly.
Yeah, so...
John, he got mad.
Yeah.
And a fly happened to be buzzing around, and he's like, this fly's getting on my... Boom! And I mean, he snapped in and hit... And I'm like... And then the fly went down and just was... I'm like, did Jonathan just knock out a fly from the air? He just punched a fly, y'all. Connected and knocked the fly out. There's a fly right there. I had never seen anything like that in my life. It was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I was like, woo, what's going on with Jonathan? Yeah. So, but that happened. But you, the one thing that you felt in your situation was your heartbeat was beating and pounding all the time.
Yeah.
Did you feel...
And I couldn't, like, focus on a thought. Like, my brain was just like, bro... Like,
so your thoughts were sporadic. Okay, your thoughts were sporadic.
Yeah, I felt like, have you seen the episode of SpongeBob when, like, all the files get deleted and, like, you just see all of these little mini SpongeBobs in his head, like, losing their stuff? Like, you ended up, like, there ended up being a fire in his brain. It was like, that's honestly how I felt. Like, that's the only way I could connect that. But yeah,
there's
it was
a fire
just,
in your brain. Yeah,
like, I was just like, oh my god, red alert. This is not a drill. Like... Call the ambulance.
Woo, woo, woo. Okay. So, Jonathan, let me ask you of a time, and I'm going to take you back to a time when you were a kid. Jonathan had a situation, I guess, where a boy had been messing with him or something. Like, I don't really know the whole story. He might have to tell you. But at the end of the day, Jonathan picked up a rock and threw it at the boy, I think in his face. You hit him in the head with the rock?
Nah, he hit me.
Oh, he hit you in the head with the rock.
Yep, still got the scar to prove it, too.
Yeah, that's right. By his eyes, right by his eye. But what did you do to the boy?
I picked up a rock and threw one back because he actually hit me. So I picked one up and I threw one back, and then I ran after him and I beat him up.
Okay.
And
How old was this?
He was like 5.
I was 6. It was first
5 or
grade.
6, yeah.
Because it was on the playground. And once again, somehow, I was like the instigator to the whole thing. I don't know how. Somehow, I was the only one that was on my side was Miss Horton. That was the only one that was on my side. She was like, no, Jonathan wouldn't do that. Are you okay? Like, she asked me if I was okay. She asked me really what happened. She was trying to get down to the bottom of it. But Mr. Freeberger, who was out there, who was the actual person who was on the playground when the thing happened.
Who should have been observing and watching and monitoring.
Didn't know really what happened, but he did see me whoop that kid's butt. So, of course, I would be the instigator in his eyes. And actually, Mr. Freeberger was really, really cool. He was a cool dude. Taught me a lot of different things about sports initially. That was actually probably my first, I guess, initiation into certain, like, basketball and football and stuff other than gymnastics and martial arts. But yeah, he was kind of like that person. But yeah, he was the one that initially saw it, and it was more the ending where I was now beating up this kid. But Miss Horton, because Miss Horton knew who I was, she was more trying to like get down to the bottom of things and really ask questions and try to figure out why am I bleeding? Like from my daggone eye, like I'm bleeding. You know, the kid had some bruises, but he wasn't bleeding. You know, so there were some questions, and once she got down to the bottom of it, things were said. What happened is, I guess, from that point on, the miscommunication from Miss Horton to my mom didn't quite get out there. Like, all the information wasn't said. Because when I got home, I was in trouble.
Now, what did that feel like? Because I think I did get miscommunication. I think somebody told me you beat the kid up, and I was like, Jonathan, why would he beat a kid up?
But see,
I'm always asking that
question.
Oh yeah, that he threw the rock. You see, that's still imprinted in my brain. It's like, did you throw a rock at somebody? Yeah, that he threw the rock, and then he beat this kid up. And Jonathan did say that he threw a rock. So,
because I'm honest.
Right.
That's all I know how to do.
You did. So, how did it feel for you when they came and Mr. Freeberger was basically, you felt like you're getting ready to be in trouble? What does that feel like for you, even at that early age? What did that feel like?
Mr. Freeberger, I actually didn't feel, I don't know, I didn't feel like afraid. I felt more confused because I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, why are you snitching right now? First of all, you supposed to be the homie. Like, what's up?
Why you snitching?
Second of all,
at 6.
Yeah.
Why snitches get stitches,
I'm
Mr.
like,
Freeberger?
what's going on right now, Freeberger? Like, why we snitching? You throwing out names and everything. I mean, that's not cool. But it was more or less confusion because I was expecting him to take my side. From my point of view, I got hit first and I'm bleeding from my eye. I'm like, whoa, why am I the antagonist? Like, I'm the antagonist in this story? What? What are you talking? Like, I was so confused. And then by the time I got to Miss Horton, I can kind of calm down a little bit. But then, when my mom got there, I was actually fine. I was fine until I got home. And then once I realized I was actually in trouble, because at first I thought, I was like, oh, well, it's in the clear. I don't want to take care of it. It's not that big of a deal. I told Miss Horton what happened, you know. I was wrong, yes, for throwing the rock back, but at the same time, I didn't feel wrong because he hit me first, and I felt like I was defending myself once again. So I was chill all the way until we got home, and I realized I'm actually in trouble.
Then how did you feel when you were in trouble?
At
Did you feel
that point,
betrayed, or did you feel scared or nervous?
Actually,
or
no.
Both?
I kind of felt a little betrayed. I'm like, everybody's snitching on me. Like, what the heck is going on
Who
right
did you
now?
feel betrayed by, Miss Horton or by me? Like, because I wasn't seeming to be taking your side.
I felt betrayed by Miss Horton because I told her what happened. Mm-hmm. And from what I understood, she understood exactly what happened and would tell the full story. So I'm thinking that I'm not really supposed to be in a lot of trouble. If anything, I thought I was supposed to be getting a talking to on, hey, what you did was wrong, but I understood why you did it, kind of thing. Like,
but
you're
you
not
didn't
supposed to
get
be.
spanking.
Yes, I did.
Did I? I don't remember.
Oh, but I did. Once again.
But this is before I knew you got hit in the eye.
This is the thing.
That's the other
She
thing.
beat me with a Band-Aid on my face.
You did not have a Band-Aid
I had a
on your
Band-Aid
face.
cover my eye like this. I got beat an hour later. I was sitting in the chair. Now, Jonathan, you thought about what you did, right? Yeah. So what actually happened? Like, I've been telling you what happened the whole time. I got beaten, and I had a Band-Aid on my eye. Somehow that was just
I don't
invisible.
remember seeing a Band-Aid on his eye.
A whole Band-Aid, because like I said, I got the scar.
Yeah, he
so
does
I
still have the
have a
scar.
whole Band-Aid on my eye. Like, I smooth got hit in the face. Clearly. And it's like, if you didn't do it, who did it?
So here's the thing. The story that I got was that Jonathan picked up a rock and threw it at the kid and then beat him up. And that the kid may have been messing with him, but Jonathan picked up a rock and threw it. The reason he got a spanking is because he threw a rock at a kid. Now here's the irony in this whole story. The cruel and almost funny, ridiculous irony.
Messed up.
I got upset with him because he threw the rock. I said, Jonathan, don't you know you could put somebody's eye out throwing rocks at us? He said, Mommy, yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think I know that very well. Matter of fact, it was almost my eye. Yeah.
He said, yes, Mom. I got hit in the eye. And I was like, you got hit what? And so then I saw that he actually had this cut on his eye. I said, that was a rock? I said, that kid threw a rock at you and hit you?
Connected.
So now we know it's beat kids, ask questions later.
Not usually. Not usually.
Back then.
But in this scenario, because of the way the story came to me, and it wasn't just one teacher, there were multiple witnesses. And I asked Jonathan, I said, did you pick up a rock and throw it at this kid?
That wasn't the right question.
And it wasn't the right question. You're absolutely right. That was not the right question. The right question should have been what it usually is. What happened, Jonathan? That's what it usually
you asked me
is.
the question, did I do what I did? Yeah, of
Yes.
course I did what I did.
Yes,
I mean,
I asked him the wrong question because I asked him specifically, did he pick up a rock and throw it at that kid? And he answered that question. He didn't say, yes, Mommy, but he didn't go through any of that. It's just like Skylar. Skylar is something else because we asked Skylar some questions about something that I thought was questionable. And Skylar was like, yes, Mama. And she started feeling sad and bad because she did something. But she didn't turn around and say, but Mama, Uncle JG told me to do it. She didn't throw him under the bus at all.
Yeah, so she ain't no snitch.
At 4, at 3.
cool. We got to understand.
But she didn't throw him under the bus at all. And she was willing to take all of the brunt of, didn't Mama tell you not to do this? And it had to do with going to the door and opening doors. And so she opened up a door, and she should not have opened the door.
She still hasn't learned that lesson.
And so she got in a little bit of trouble. Then I felt bad because she didn't tell on Jonathan. And so when I'm telling Jonathan the story of what's going on, he's like, Mom, I told her to open the door. I thought it was you at the door. I'm like, you told the baby to open the door, John? Well, I was in the shower. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so, at the end of the day, there's always some miscommunication that can lead to some of these incidences. But what I was trying to get at is, what was that feeling of fear? Like, what did that cause you to how did you respond to that? It sounds like you actually felt more betrayed than afraid.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid actually at all, not whatsoever. Because, like I said, it started with confusion from the first initial act from Mr. Freeburger, where I was like, what are you doing? Then, like I said, it kind of calmed down because then I got to explain myself. So I felt justified within my explanation for what had happened and what transpired. So I was like, okay, we cool. It's all out there. Like, I'm not lying to nobody. Y'all clearly see I got cracked. Like, clearly.
Somehow I failed to get that part of the story, and Jonathan didn't reveal that part of the story. That's real interesting.
I thought Miss Horton told her. In my head, that's why I was so
or at least
cool to
the
hold.
Band-Aid would have told her.
I did not see. I'm telling you,
had a Band-Aid
even
everything.
in my memory and my recollection of it right now, I do not recall seeing a Band-Aid on
That's
the boy's
because all
face.
she saw was red.
That's what
Well, you would think I saw the red blood on his face.
Like I said, I had the Band-Aid on the eye, and the whole car ride home was. There was nothing to indicate I was in trouble. So I was sitting there chilling.
Yeah, she didn't torment him like she tormented me. She'd always say, "You about to get a whooping." I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, Why would you tell me that? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I was chilling the whole car ride home, and then like I said, by the time I got home, I realized I was in trouble. I was like, "What the heck did I do?" Like,
poor Jonathan always trying to figure out what did he do.
I did. I was like, what did I do? Got a beating. I was like, okay, and then I had to sit in my room because I had to think about what I did wrong, and I'm like, well, I didn't do nothing wrong. So I'm sitting up there coloring because I don't know what else to do. Because I'm like, I didn't do nothing wrong that I know of. I wasn't wrong. Go back downstairs, and I remember because it was the big black recliner in Norm's room, and I was sitting on the chair. She was like, now what did you do wrong? I said, nothing. She was like,
It's like,
you
that ain't
sat
the
there
right
for an
answer.
hour and you didn't do nothing? I was like, no, because I got hit in the eye.
Yeah.
I didn't do nothing wrong. Yes, I maybe was wrong maybe for retaliating by throwing the rock back. But I got hit in the eye.
Yeah.
Justified.
Justified.
Just saying. I was justified.
My children's sense of reasoning at such an early age astounds me sometimes. And even like Skylar, look, kids just aren't like what they used to be, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, I didn't feel afraid. I was just very kind of betrayed. And afterwards, it was more of a, it was a kind of, how do I move forward feeling? Like, I was just like, what
how do I move from this place? How do I go on? Everybody done turned their backs
like,
on me.
So how do I not get any more beatings? Because I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I just keep getting beatings. I don't know what I did. So I was like trying to figure out in my head, like, what do I got to do to not get a beating today? How about that?
I did not give him whoopings every day, y'all. Don't you look like that?
I still got the whooping for being poor, so
whatever. We're not even going there. We're not even
tell me how I felt.
beating.
That's called traumatic
Literally,
emotional
every
pain.
time he looks at himself, if he's not looking good enough, he's going to remember that beating.
Talking about how I was feeling then, I was feeling poor, so I was feeling.
You did not get a whooping from me.
Oh, but
He keeps
Poverty
telling
had
that
struck.
story. He keeps telling that lie.
because it's true. We don't talk about feelings. My feelings was crushed that day. My mom
Crushed
called
in
me
the crowd.
poor. Ah.
I did not call him poor. I didn't call him anything. If I'm calling you poor, that's calling me poor. I just felt that, he got in trouble for going trick-or-treating, y'all. Period. When I told him he couldn't go. Anyway, moving right along. All right. So at the end of the day, the reason I went through that little circle is because I wanted to just express that it's not, age does not matter. Keyshawn is 18, he had some anxiety, he starts to sweat. Yakira at 12, heart pumping, okay, because she's afraid. Jonathan at 6, he felt betrayed in the situation. But did you feel angry? Like when you went after the boy, did you feel like you were enraged, or what did you feel?
Yeah.
So you were angry.
And that's actually, I think that's the first time that I realized I had a serious anger problem. I really did have an anger problem. I didn't realize how much I had an anger problem. I still probably got a little bit of it, but I had a serious anger problem. I didn't realize it until that moment, like for sure, that I really did have anger, because I didn't want to just hurt him. I wanted to kill that kid. I wanted him to be
understanding
gone.
of what kill means at 6.
Yeah, like I legitimately
that's cartoon
want him
kill.
to be
That's the
gone.
problem. See, when you're 6, kill means cartoon kill, and they come back the next day, but they're gone for right now. You're done.
Yeah, I just wanted him gone. I wanted him to disappear for sure. And
like the Pac-Man goes.
yeah, it wasn't pretty what was going on in my head. And after that, I think that is where the a bit of, I guess, emotional torment of how should I be feeling was, especially when it came to my other parentals.
His other parentals.
There wasn't really much room for knowing how to feel. You just kind of react. And
Notice he said with his other parental.
yeah, you
it wasn't with me.
You kind of react to a lot of stuff, and there really isn't room to feel very much. You just do it. It's more instinctual. And so anger issues and instinctual action doesn't really work out so well. So I used to get in trouble a lot over there. But yeah.
So what's interesting is Jonathan also became a pacifist right around in there. And this may be the reason why, because he realized, dag, I'm hurting people. I'm not trying to hurt them. But when he was doing martial arts, he started competing, and he had an incident at one of the tournaments, and he actually kicked a kid, and the kid was not properly dressed. He wasn't wearing his protective gear. And the boy went down, and it just traumatized Jonathan. He was just horrified and traumatized that he actually hurt this kid. And the kid was rolling around for a little while. And so from that day until many, many, many years later, Jonathan was an adult before he picked up fighting again. He stopped
Every time
fighting.
you tell that story, all I think about is like this little hard leg just whack, like this little tiny leg just whack, and then this boy just.
No, he didn't just fall out. He was screaming.
No, yeah, I know.
So it
but
sounded
it's like-
painful. I mean, for Jonathan, he was like, you know,
Yeah.
was that fear? Did you feel afraid of that? Because I mean, it's like he kind of like was like,
I don't
what
even
do I
know
do?
what, like, in my head,
I really wish.
I don't know if
video
it was
of this.
actually fear. I think it was more like,
Were you shocked or were you?
it was kind of a
sad,
shock, but it
or
was more of like a pain.
you
Like,
the
I
pain?
felt very wrong. Like, there was something
Aw.
wrong with me. Because I'm like, well, I was taught all this stuff, and every time I hit everybody else, there was nothing wrong. So I hit him, and he, like my mom said, he was screaming in pain, was just not, wouldn't get back up, was crying, turned red. It was terrible. So I was like, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do to him? I thought they were like, I stabbed him with something. I was like, I didn't know what happened. Because I was doing a spinning kick, so my back actually was to him when my foot connected. So I didn't know what happened.
Jonathan didn't see that one coming, and neither did the kid, obviously.
Yeah.
I thought John just kicked him in his winky. I was like, that's messed up.
No, he didn't kick him in his.
He didn't
Jonathan
mean
was
to.
actually good. He
Yeah,
was
he
he
didn't
was
mean
he
to.
was very good, and he just happened. So
I ain't mean to.
Yeah, he's a little too low.
Well, no, he was a little too high.
Oh, really? He's tall.
He jumped. He was doing a jump kick when I went into a roundhouse, and I just
And
boom.
so he kind of landed on him, really. It wasn't so much Jonathan went up and kicked him. The kid kind of, the foot and his winky connected in midair. That's what happened.
That's what happens when you jump, kids. No,
That's why you need to stay your butt on the ground.
Just saying.
Don't be trying to fly. Dang on it. No.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually felt fear at that point. I think it was more of a shock, and like I said, like kind of a pain. Like there was something wrong because I felt his pain.
Oh.
But his,
Probably not.
I didn't feel his direct pain. I felt his emotional pain.
Yeah.
And that was kind of something that I guess at the time also I was learning with one of my counselors was how to, like, the empathy.
Yeah.
And my empathy was huge at the time. So I felt everything that he could possibly feel emotionally. I was probably feeling like 10 times stronger. And it took me out of commission. I was like, yeah, I'm never competing again. Stop karate.
He
I
stopped.
done.
He was done.
I was done.
That's funny. John was empathetic of people. I was empathetic of animals. Like, I was like, I don't care
Oh
about
my
people.
gosh,
but
she was ridiculous.
animals are like everything. Because, like, I was always watching Animal Planet. And, like, in every show, basically, at that time, the people were bad. Like, the people did something wrong. And that's why this
That's
animal
because
is in
people
this
suck.
predicament. Yeah, like, so I was like, well, what the heck is wrong with the people? So forget y'all. Like, y'all are the one who's messing up my animals. So, yeah. I used to pick up worms with mommy all the time. Kindergarten. That
We're
was
not
lit.
gonna talk about that one story. I'll have to share that one later at another time. But anyway, so let's get back to really dig into this topic and just kind of wrap this up a little bit. At the end of the day, my point was whether you're a child, whether you are an adult, it doesn't matter what age you are. When there's fear involved, there's some form of torment. Okay? So, why True Confessions? Why did I choose transparency? Why this book? Jonathan, can you pull up the page and pull up that picture? I'm going to read you guys the back cover of the book, Lessons Beneath the Mask, From Pain to Promise, by Ruel Barksdale.
Sure.
And
It's fun.
our foreword was written by Les Brown. Many of you have heard or know who Les Brown is. But anyway, I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to kind of address exactly, because the book cover pretty much explains. What, you can't? Yours is dead?
Is it on mine?
Yeah, I was just saying, why don't you just open your phone?
Anyway.
Oh, you're watching. Okay, never mind. Yes, it's right underneath this stream. So as soon as you go to the page, look at the stream. But anyway, that book cover kind of gives a little bit of insight as to why someone might choose transparency over fear. So let's see if I can read this. So I need my glasses. Can you go get me my readers, huh?
I doubt it. That thing is super small.
No, can you go get my readers out of my purse? In my purse. Okay.
Why am I
I know what
hearing
it says. I just want to read it correctly to you guys. Hold on. This is on my phone. Okay, so it says, what do a little Iranian girl with a dream, a white boy from Detroit, still go get my readers, a white boy from Detroit on his way to alcoholism, a black boy from the inner city, and a church girl suffering from sexual abuse have in common? So the question is, what do all of these people have in common? They all wear a mask that hides their pain. All right? Now, let me read this. Y'all, this is letting me know how old I really am. So,
Yeah,
I'm wearing,
the fact that she even said readers.
yeah, because I'm wearing contact lenses and I still can't see this. All right. So, it says, if we were to dig deep enough, each of us could find a story that others may never know. We enter the workplace, classrooms, religious settings, and public. I can't see you guys.
You want me to help you?
And public places, hiding under masks. Now, why do we do that? That's really what I'm trying to get at. Why do we do that? Well, in this description, it really speaks to the fact that there is a unique feeling and there is a fear that our situations are unique, that they are specific to us, that they are beyond understanding, that no one else would be able to identify with what's happening. Now, I come from a certain religious background where there was a lot of judgment, okay? So in that kind of arena, everybody, from my frame of reference, everybody was put in a position where they had to present a facade. It was fake, and the world was not real. And for me, it felt like living a lie. And a couple years ago, I came to the conclusion, and it was this one simple thing. I felt like if I'm angry at you and I am cussing you out in my head, but I'm presenting to you, my presentation is that I'm engaging you and I'm talking to you. And I'm not really saying what I'm saying in my head, and I'm actually presenting a different message, then I'm lying. Okay? I am straight lying. And I also understood that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And then my third thing was, God knows everything I'm thinking anyway. The fact that I'm rehearsing this in my head is the same as it coming out of my mouth. It's just to you, I'm not sharing that information. I'm not being truthful with you. And you guys know how much I hate liars. When I came to the understanding and the conclusion that even in doing this, I am lying, I stopped. And if I felt like I needed to cuss at you from that point on, a cuss word came out, you know. Did that change my belief in God? Did that change my feeling of my status as a Christian, as a believer, as one who's been redeemed? Absolutely not. because actually what it did is it actually released me and freed me even more. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie, period. So what it did was it forced me to now have to contend with, oh wow, this is actually an area of weakness. This is something that the anger, Jonathan's talking about that anger issue. You have been holding on to some things for so long, and you have become a master. You're an expert at presenting a different face, so much so that you begin to believe the face that you presented. You begin to believe the facade that you've presented. And something has to happen somewhere along the way that wakes you up. And I'm not really sure what actually woke me up. But I just remember walking my dog. I was walking up the mountain, and it just dropped in my heart. And I think it was because I was in a relationship with somebody that you can't. Well, we were, as far as I'm concerned, we were really friends. This guy wanted to be a little bit more involved with me than I wanted to be with him. Yakira didn't like. Well, I won't say Yakira didn't like him. Yakira didn't like the idea of us being a couple either way.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't know if I would say I liked him though, because he kind of bribed me. Like, I don't think he knew that I understood what he was doing. But he would always come over, and I like to eat, especially because Mom doesn't cook. So it's just like,
you're silly, John.
What did he say?
No.
But it's just like when you have somebody who, when you're in a household where you're usually, making some frozen meals versus someone coming in the house.
They have warm meals sometimes, y'all.
Not often. Making some cookies and, some hot food, like, you're just like, well, dang, like, okay. But I understood what he was doing. He was doing it so that I would like him a little more. And also, he introduced
lying.
Yeah, that is technically lying. Because why don't you just say, hey, I'm giving this to you so you like me better. Or just say, hey, hopefully you like me. If you don't, sucks for you, kind of thing. Like, because that's how I am. But there was a genuine connection because he started me on Doctor Who. And that's my show. I truly do love that show. Can't find it anywhere. I'm a little pissed off about that. But, yeah, Doctor Who is my show, and that's probably the only connection that I have with him. He tried to give me a book on Doctor Who, and I'm like, bro, I'm like 11. Why would I read a book? Like, honestly.
Why would I read a book? Really? Well, one that's this thick, maybe. But yeah. But my point about that was that what happened, I think, during that time was I realized that I really did not share the same feelings that this guy had, and I felt like I was taking advantage of him if I could, because he catered, he just...
It was creepy, you guys. In my standpoint, because there's one point where he slept outside her door, and I was like, you're literally a dog, like, this is gross. Like, it bothered me, made me uncomfortable. And after that, he didn't really come over anymore. I told Mom about it, like, right away. And she was like, oh, okay, it's time for me to make some changes.
I think at this point I was at college.
Yeah, you were.
It was during the summer, so you were going to college, yeah.
He was there.
He was?
Yeah, he was in college. Oh. So what Yakira said by this person slept outside my door, what happened, I did not tell anybody they have to sleep on the floor outside of my door.
No, you didn't.
I am not that kind of person.
That's why I said it was creepy.
So, but what happened was, I guess I was in my room and I had fallen asleep. So I was asleep in my bed, and this guy, he could have laid down in the bed. I don't care. It's not a problem for me. But I'm not sure if it was somehow he felt, I'm not sure what he felt. But for whatever reason, he chose, and it might be because I said something to him that day. I might have told him, that I don't share the same feelings, and I was getting a little bit more snippy at him because he wasn't getting the hint. Because, like I said, he catered to everything, and he really was trying to pour it on so thick, and that began to bother me. So I might have said something to him that led him to believe that I don't want him near me. And so instead of leaving and going home, which, I guess I found out the next day that he literally slept in front of my door on the floor.
Well, not in front.
It was like by the side of the
like,
yeah.
it was like,
it's
his
in
head
front of
was at like the front of the door,
Yeah.
and then like his body like
was back on
by
against the wall.
Yeah.
And I had never even heard of anything like that.
Yeah, he tried to play it off when I saw him because I was like, I went up to get some breakfast, and so I saw him, and so I guess he woke up because of me, like because I initially didn't say anything, but then he woke up and like I looked at him, and he was like, "Oh, I was doing some work and I fell asleep," and I was like, "You fell asleep on the floor instead of like at the table? That's a little weird." Like I kind of just like okay, and I kind of just waited for Mom to wake up, and then as soon as she was up, I was like, Mom, this dude is a little weird. Like, you might want to give him more than hints."
Well,
At that point in time, I wasn't a very nice person. I was glad I wasn't there.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when I saw that kind of behavior coming from any kind of person, I recognize that, you know what, Jill, to thyself be true first, then you got to be true to everybody else. Because, like I said, my daughter was extremely uncomfortable with that. That would have made me a little uncomfortable too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, dude, why are you on the floor? Either get in a bed, get on the couch, or go home. You know, one or the other. But nobody
We
sleeps.
didn't have a couch at that point. Not in the living room. And so there was John's room and then the air mattress, and I was sleeping on
Which
the air
one were you
mattress.
talking about? Which house? Are you talking about by
We're
the
talking
pool?
about
or
by the pool.
Sun Valley.
Yeah, this was the up.
Were we living upstairs or
Yeah, it was
downstairs?
the upstairs one.
Upstairs.
It was one
Okay.
right next to the
'Cause
pool.
I was sleeping-
No. This one was the one by Ulani when we lived over on that side.
Yeah.
That's in the back.
No.
He wasn't with us when we were up in that other place. You're
Oh
talking.
yeah, you won. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to
I'm like,
remember
there was
where
no
that
way.
was. I had to remember where that was.
We were
Sorry.
next
Yeah, we were in the back.
Yeah, we were in the back next to Lundy.
All right, so I understand where that is. I understand, and he helped me move, and that's what was going on. He had helped me move from one place in this facility to another one, another place, and so that's probably why he was there. I'm thinking that was around that time that we
I think we
moved.
had moved in.
We
by
had
then.
already moved in.
Oh,
by
we
that
moved
time.
in. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, like I'm saying,
She
but
tried to fight for him at this point.
I didn't understand why someone would do that, except for whatever interaction we were having.
I do remember you guys had an argument.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Whatever interaction we were having at the time, he was getting one message, and it was not a clear message from me.
And you would tell him to write stuff down. Like, write any problems he had down. And so, I remember before I went to bed, I saw him writing stuff. And so then I went to sleep, and then the next morning he was on the floor. So I was like, okay. But I do remember you saying, you need to write your problems down or whatever. I remember that, because I was like,
So here's my thing. I'm going to just share something with you guys. And this is me being transparent also. At the end of the day, I care about people. So even if you are someone that is attracted to me and wants a romantic relationship with me, if that's not something that I want, I'm still going to treat you with respect. Okay? I think in this particular situation, it just, something happened, and I remember what happened, but something happened that made me very uncomfortable with the interaction that I was having with this gentleman. And if you ask Akira, he would follow me, it was very strange. It was almost obsessive, but he wasn't like a violent kind of person. It wasn't like that. It was almost like he was a sub. He was submissive. That's what.
like I said, he followed her around like a dog.
like a puppy. Yeah, he really did. And yeah.
And
He really
I mean,
did.
at that point, see, but the thing is, when you're an 11-year-old going on 12, having to witness that, and also like witnessing your mom obviously being uncomfortable, like it was kind of confusing to me because I was like, I feel like Mom and I kind of like have these little things in our head that like is just similar because I'll see stuff and then Mom will say something on it and I'm like, I knew she was gonna say that, like I knew that's how she felt about it. So I knew if I'm uncomfortable, Mom's definitely uncomfortable because I'm never usually uncomfortable about the people she's with because she doesn't bring them around me that often. So I was like, if I'm uncomfortable, then that means Mom's probably uncomfortable. So why is he still here? Because I know Mom's not going to keep somebody around she doesn't want to be around. Like, I know that for a fact. Like, if she don't like you, you're not here. You don't exist. For a fact. So I was, like, kind of confused. I was like, what is she doing? Like, I was like, I mean, hopefully she doesn't get like rid of them anytime soon because it's still summer and I still kind of want cookies. But like, honestly, this is a little.
Man, I was getting presents, dude.
I'm like, dude, food.
Jonathan was getting to drive and everything. Didn't have no driver's license.
Oh,
He drive, and I found out a lot of different things a little later. But at the end of the day, what I was saying is I still have compassion. So I think what was going on in that situation, it was a transition of me trying to break apart and really let him know that this is the type of relationship that I need to have with you. And it's like more of a platonic, strictly friend thing.
Even then, he still didn't get it.
Yeah. And so I had to start getting a little bit more demonstrative.
Yeah.
And,
So he stopped coming around the house, like slowly. You guys would start just going to like out instead of hanging out at the house because it would be like a time where he was at the house every day, and then that stopped happening. And then like it got to the point where he started going back to where he was from instead of hanging out, and like just slowly he would stop. I would stop seeing him. So I was like, okay.
well, what made the transition, what made the definitive cutoff was when Yakira was uncomfortable. It doesn't matter so much about me because I can manage my environment, I can manage my space, and that's true. If I don't want someone around me, if I don't like somebody around me, they're not going to be around me. But that wasn't really the case with him. I didn't dislike him. It wasn't that. I just felt uncomfortable about some things, and I felt uncomfortable about his attachment to me, and I needed to make some distinction. But when my daughter told me that she is uncomfortable now, and that she's weirded out, that this has freaked her out, boo-boo, you got to go. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's time for you to go. You got to go. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's time for you to go.
And we talked
love you, smooches, bye-bye.
We talked about him for a while, but we would really just talk about his awkwardness. Like, we were like, he tried to make a joke, or like, we would both
well,
be
he was
there.
a little socially
Yeah,
awkward,
he was
but
socially awkward.
I think a lot of times smart people, when you're really, really smart, sometimes you are socially awkward because you're kind of thinking on a level and nobody else is there.
No, what I was going to say, though, is it escalated.
Yeah,
so, like, there would be times that she was around and, like, he would say something and we'd both look at each other like, but then, like, there was more times where, like, mom would be doing something and he's, like, cooking or something and he'd say something to me and I'm like, dude, I'm 11. I don't get these jokes or puns or whatever. But it escalated, and he was always trying to talk to me, and he was always trying to be in the face.
That's because you were the only one there.
Yeah, and I was like, damn it,
And
John, if you don't bring your like, I was so upset. But I was like,
I was
dude,
he was talking to me.
Yeah, I was like, why are you talking? Like,
I got it. So.
Yeah,
but he was a nice guy.
He was nice, but it got to the
point
point where I was like, why are you talking to me? And like, it was stuff that I didn't understand, so that made me uncomfortable. And then like seeing him interact with you also made me uncomfortable. So like I said, it escalated. Because before, he didn't follow you like that. So I was just like, okay.
I think he knew that I was kind of starting to, push him away and starting to end the relationship. So he was holding on. He was yet holding on. But he was a dear friend. I still consider him a dear friend. Just didn't want the same kind of relationship. Yeah. So it was my effort to try to figure out how to have this thing end amicably, Last week we just talked about, strained relationships and people losing their mind, and doing crazy things when one person is feeling differently than another in the relationship. So it was one of those things, like I said, there's been a lot of growth with me, but in this situation, I was the one who did not feel the same for this individual. And that happens actually a lot. I'm pretty, I don't know. It takes a lot.
I feel like initially, like, we get this, like, okay, that's cool, and then slowly we realize, okay, never mind. Like,
well,
it's like
what it is, yeah, because I mean, I'm so comfortable with me, and that's what I think it really is. All of us, I tried to make my kids, and this goes back to the transparency. It was my goal to not allow my children to grow up with fear of judgment or fear of someone looking at them and making them believe that they are less than who or what they are. Yakira, when they were little, I used to get in the mirror. I said, come here, y'all. You're the deal. And I'm like, Jonathan, you are the deal. And Yakira, before she could even talk, she was like, the deal, hey, deal. And I'm like, that's right, Yakira, you're the deal.
And I remember Norm was like, Yakira, who's the woman?
Yeah.
Say it like you meet a girl.
And so we were always, and she's a baby, you know, she was little, very little, but always wanted to instill this kind of feeling and this mentality. And for Jonathan, he grew up, when he was very young, it was much more strict than as he began to get a little older. And I began to understand a little bit more about Jonathan and just how he processes information and how he responds to things and, you know, who he really is. And so my kids are very, they were always very confident about who they were, but like they kind of knew who they were, but they weren't always comfortable with who they were. Okay. And Yakira, you know, she experienced being bullied and things like that. Jonathan didn't really have that kind of experience. Jonathan's experience more was that he's the social butterfly. Everybody loved Jonathan, you know, forever, as long as I can remember. You know, there's a few incidences like he's talking about where kids, you know, try to get, you know, jiggy with him a little bit, but he didn't really experience the same, he didn't have the same experience that Yakira did as a kid. So I tried to create this confidence in who they were. Keyshawn is with me now. He's here. And I think sometimes our conversation that's normal for us might actually throw him off a little bit. It might like, are they really talking about this? Yakira said something the other day, and I'm not going to say what you said because remember my response. And Keyshawn was sitting there. He's like, "Oh!" And he just started like if Keyshawn could have turned red, and he probably turned purple because he's, you know, that dark. When you said, I don't remember who you said that about or what the context was. And I said, well, there's no, this. I said that's not always. This ain't always a problem to have that happen. You know, there's circumstances where that's okay. And Keyshawn, look, there he goes again. There are certain circumstances that, you know, you can do certain things. It's okay. But yeah, so
It was in a moment of heat. So
well, but she was expressing. What? Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? It's not like a cat. It's a moment of heat. What? Me?
No, people say we were heated.
It was a heated argument, a moment of.
Moment.
But I don't even remember what she was talking about. I know, right? I don't remember what you were talking about.
I was talking about people, and like if I have a problem with them, then they can, you know.
Oh, okay. When they don't want to resolve and da 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 da.
Yeah, it's basically like a more emphasized version of suck it. My usual suck it.
But instead of suck it, it's eat it, and it's something else.
Yakira was having issues that day. And so I was like, well, you know. So I just kind of I made a comment to kind of diffuse the conversation a little bit and make it a little bit more light. But I think it just horrified Keyshawn. He was like, oh, where's Jonathan? Why am I here? Please get me out of this conversation. But I'm trying to help him to know that it's okay. It is all right to be who you are, you know, and to live your truth and accept your truth. Love yourself. You have to. If you don't love you first, who else can love you for real? Who else can do that?
Yeah, and who else can you love?
And if you don't love yourself, you can think you're loving somebody else, you know, but I think you're right. I think you can't really officially love someone if you've not accepted your own self.
Yeah, I say it's really hard to accept someone else if you can't accept yourself, because you're never going to accept the fact that they accept you.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, insightful.
At the end of the day, I want to tell everybody to read that book cover because the printing is so small right now on this particular phone and I can't really see it. But I want you guys to read the book cover. And I did submit in this book. There's an autobiographical submission in there, and it is a very, very, very transparent story. There's probably more transparency there than what's going to make people comfortable. Okay? Some folk are going to be highly uncomfortable reading the whole book, not just my story, but the whole book. But at the same time, in this uncomfortableness, you're also going to find victory and triumph and hope. So there's a positive outcome, and we kind of help you to understand that your situation might not be as unique as you think it is. Your problem may not be as peculiar. The way you operate may not be as strange and unacceptable as you think it is, okay? There are other people, and some of us who have gotten to the place where we have released fear of judgment, fear of lack of acceptance. At the end of the day, nobody pays my bills but me. Nobody buys my clothes but me. Nobody feeds my kids but me. Well, they feed themselves because they got jobs, but me for the most point. And there's going to be no one who can put me in heaven or hell. Not a person. No one. So what is the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is somebody may decide they don't like me. You just did me a favor. Because if you don't like me, I don't want you in my sphere anyway. So it's very, very easy for you to excuse yourself and to dismiss yourself because you don't like me. All right? And if by you hearing about my story, or if you experiencing or reading or whatever, you've decided that you want to place a judgment on that, look, I lived it. I lived it. And I survived it. There's nothing you can do or say about anything that I've done or has happened to me that's going to make me be less than who and what I am. There's nothing. I lived it. I survived. And my kids have lived through some things. They're survived. My son is going through some crazy things right now. Y'all would never know it because he doesn't show that. And it's even getting more challenging for him not to show what's really happening on the inside. He's not wearing a mask, but he is holding his composure. There's a difference because he's very open and clear about what's going on. But just like he said, sometimes he feels like there's an anger issue. If he expresses some things that he's feeling, it may be inappropriate, or it may actually challenge somebody else and hurt their feelings or hurt them. And he doesn't want to do that. That's the one thing I will say. If your truth and walking in your truth causes you to actually do some harm to somebody else, you need to take yourself somewhere else. You need to isolate yourself and get yourself together, and you can walk in your truth without hurting people. And if you're not in a position to do that at that point, then that means there may be some counseling that you may require and that you might need, because at the end of the day, being transparent and walking in your own truth should free and liberate you. It should not do harm to somebody else. Okay? So we're not talking about going from the torment of fear and choosing transparency at the risk of, but that's going to hurt you and I don't care. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, at the end of the day, accepting myself. Accept yourself for who you are. Because at the end of the day, God is the one who's going to be the one who accepts or rejects at the end. All right? He's the only person I got to be concerned about. At the end of the day, he's the only one that I got to be concerned about. Nobody else. Who's in my house right now? Who's here? Not anybody watching this stream. Nobody is here. So if I'm engaging you on the outside, you still are not here. You're not doing anything for me. So if you want to have a negative feeling about me or a negative interaction, I don't need that. I don't have to accept that, and I won't accept that. So if you don't dismiss yourself or excuse yourself, I'm going to excuse you. You know, it's not that hard because I'm good with who I am. I really am. I recognize that I have some growth. The hardest thing to do was to bring some stuff from the inside out. That was the hardest part. Not even acknowledging that it was there. That part wasn't hard. The hardest part was to bring something from the inside and bring it out and expose it, put it on the table. All right? Why was that hard? Because I was in a bondage of fear, which means I was being tortured every day. All right? Going back to what we were talking about as far as what torment is. And so it got to the place where this torment was far worse of an end resolve than me putting it out here on the table. Because guess what? By me actually being transparent, I actually found freedom. I found hope. I found peace. I found joy because I found me. At the end of the day, I found me. And it was good. Because I was fearfully and wonderfully made from the beginning. Whether I have frailties, whether I have flaws, it just lets me know that I'm still human. That I haven't arrived yet. I don't have a glorified body or anything else. I don't have wings yet. Okay? Huh?
I said apex predator.
Apex predator. At the end of the day, I'm good. It's good. I love my kids. I was just telling Jonathan today that regardless of what circumstance he confronts he finds himself confronting, whoever he has to be to survive, whoever he has to become to manage himself, I love my son. He's going to still be there. Okay? We watch the Vampire Diaries. I'm not ashamed. I love the Vampire Diaries.
It's a good show.
We watch the Vampire Diaries, and the vampires have this ability to switch off their humanity. Okay? They have a switch, and that causes them not to feel and not to have emotions or emotional response. Because at the end of the day, when you're a vampire, theoretically, all of your senses are heightened. Even guilt, pain, fear, all of that stuff is heightened. So they can turn that off. They turn them all off. But when they turn that off, think about that. You turned off your humanity. Now you something else that's not even concerned. There's no compassion. There's no fear. There's no guilt. There's no nothing. There's nothing to balance you from going off the rails. I.e., that's why they can go eat people.
Yeah, and there's
Kill them
that
violently,
makes them want to come back, because as soon as they turn it back on,
they're flooded with all that guilt.
Past stuff comes right back.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, just in reflecting on that, I was telling Jonathan, if you got to switch off the humanity switch because of this, think about it. If you go to war, all right, you can be the most wonderful person, but if you are a soldier and you are at war, you have to fight. And you're not fighting to play patty cake. You are fighting to win. You are fighting to come out of there. You're not going in to be left there. You're going in to come out. All right? And whatever you need to do to get out, that's what you do. You get your job done and you get on out. All right? And then you come back and be who you need to be. All right? And so, I just kind of use it. I was like, if you got to flip off the humanity switch for a minute, because this is what you must do to go to war, flip it off. I will be here to help pull you back and turn it back on. Because the other piece in this little illustration is when they switched off that humanity, they are so far gone and they don't want to come back, because they know if they flip on their humanity, they're going to feel all kind of pain. For me, instead of switching it off, I just dealt with what was there. It took me 2 years to write the submission that's in this book. And I was telling my sister Janine, I said, you know what? It was very challenging for me to write this book, but it was more difficult for me to go back and read it. I still have only read my own stuff like all the way through, after editing, of course. I've only read the final draft like twice. And I'm going to go back and read it again today. Because every time I read it, I'm like, okay, what did I learn here? What happened here? What's really this process? Who was I? How did this impact who I am today? And that's really where it comes full circle. how did this affect who I am today? And how do I use all of this? How has it benefited me? How has it enabled me to be successful? How did it enable me to grow? How did I get to the place where I am no longer afraid? If I had this, if I have all of this, how did I get where I am now? How did this help me get here? Well, it helped me get there because I was able to look at it for what exactly it was, and I was able to find places where there was growth and there was strength and there was courage. And those were gifts from God. Those were companions that were brought into the picture. If I was at the depths of despair, God brought peace and mercy. And peace and mercy had to pick me up and carry me to a little place. Okay? So I always had strength. I was never alone. God always had a plan because he said it from the beginning. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans that I have for you. And at the end of the day, these plans are plans of hope and a future. He already knows. All right. And my faith tells me that that's real. My faith, if you want to call it the universe directs you and call it whatever you want, what you need to call it. I'm not making it a judgment one way or the other, but I know that I was put here for a reason. I know that I went through all of my life's issues and challenges and struggles for a reason. And at this stage in the game, part of that reason is for such a time as this, to help people be released from the bondage of fear, to help free people, liberate them, give them a sense of hope, give them a sense of acceptance that they are okay, they are good. Things happen to us that are not good, but that doesn't, and sometimes we have to do things that don't seem good. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make us not good. Okay. All right? Bye. That word is relative. What is good? What is not good? Okay? So it helped me to be able to put things in perspective and actually see, wow, this life over here, this life of transparency is full of freedom. I don't worry about anybody. Y'all don't read the book. I was not what you see. Not at all. Not even close to what you see today. Not if we go a complete 180, totally the opposite. You know, people say, gosh, you're the most confident person I've ever met. You're this, you're that. Yeah, that wasn't me. So read the book. You will be surprised. And I'm surprised. When I read it, I'm like, wow, yeah, okay. Wow, look at what God did here. Look at how this worked out here. Look at what I became as a result of this. Look at the jewel that has since emerged due to all the pressure that was put and applied to it. Remember, in order for a jewel to become a precious jewel, pressure, immense pressure, over years have to be applied to it. Okay?
Is that what they call it, precious?
Precious stones, because they went through pressure. They had all that pressure applied.
Pun intended.
So at the end of the day, I'm going to wrap up, but does anybody have any other things to share about being in fear versus having to feel like you're good because you can accept yourself? Anybody want to?
I don't have something to say, but I did have a question about something you said earlier.
What was the question?
When you said, the face of, you having this interaction in your head where you're, cussing somebody out, but to their face, you're smiling in their face. I was going to ask you, so what if you make it obvious that you don't like the person, but you're not cussing them out?
What do you mean?
So, in your head, you're still upset about them, and you still are in your head cussing them out, but you're also making it obvious that
I'm not gonna. At the end of the day, if this is what I'm trying to say about that, when I use the word a curse word or something like that, what I'm saying is, if that's what's there, that's what's real, okay, and that's what you get, okay. I'm going to be real now. I may choose to use a colorful metaphor. I might not. But whatever the process that's going on in my head, the presentation that's going to come out is going to equate and reflect that. It's not going to be something different. If I'm disappointed, I'm going to express, hey, that disappointed me. I don't have to cuss you out to say that you disappointed me. But there are certain circumstances where I'm so upset about something that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what I'm thinking in my head and I'm not giving that to that person, I'm lying to them.
Yeah.
That's what I meant in that situation. It doesn't mean you got to be going around cussing folk out or, you know, just making it clear. Whatever the process is that's going on with you, that is true. You reflect your truth without hurting someone.
Yeah. Now,
Cussing might hurt somebody. If I drop a bomb, you know, that might hurt your feelings. I apologize in advance because I know that there's going to be occasions where, whoop, that one slipped out. But did it slip out? No, not really. It was very specific and deliberate because I was being honest. It is what it is. I'm not going to lie about it. If it's here, God already heard it. He heard it before I even thought about saying it.
True.
And some people say, well, that's lack of discipline and self-control. That's a lie. That is the lie. It is not a lack of discipline and a lack of self-control. Absolutely not. I am presenting what I want to present, what I feel, and it is real. The lie is when you act like that's not what's going on. So how dare you call me undisciplined and out of control and all that? No, you are, because you lie. Okay? Anyone who smiles in my face and is stabbing me in my back is a liar. And you're a damaging liar. You're a liar that hurts people. And that's what I'm trying to say. I chose to stop doing that. It was revealed to me that I'm lying. I'm actually putting this person at a disadvantage by lying to them, by not letting them know the truth. Because when one day comes out and I really blast them, they're going to be like, where the heck that come from?
That's true.
And now they're totally blown away and have no idea what just happened here. It's because I lied to you for a year. I couldn't stand you. But I let you stay in my sphere and it was driving me crazy. And then I became a time bomb waiting to just blow up. That's the problem. Being honest is not being out of control and having lack of discipline. Okay? I just want to make that clear for anybody who felt that, you know, I can hear some of your retorts. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be moved on this issue. So you can disagree with me. It's perfectly fine. I welcome that, but I'm not moved. I'm not going to be, I am firmly, I'm free. And so as many people that can come on this journey with me, come on, y'all. You'll find that freedom and being transparent is so much nicer than being in the bondage of a tormenting fear. John?
Wait, I have one more thing I wanted to say. I feel like in this day and age, like especially my generation, it is incredibly difficult for us to find a way to be completely transparent. Even as, I mean, I'm really open and I always have been, but it's even difficult for me just because of, you know, I understand the minds of the people who are around me, who surround me, and I understand that they're going to constantly judge me. That's the career I plan to go in. So of course, you know, I need to build some walls, but for my generation, I feel like they unnecessarily, you know, create the mask that you're talking about just because of, you know,
it's
first
fear.
of all, yes, the fear, but it's not even just fear about what other people think. You know, yes, that kind of molds the way we think about ourselves, but honestly, I feel like we are our worst critic.
Yes.
That is definitely true. And so before anyone else is going to think about something, anybody is going to think negatively about us, we're going to be the first ones to look at ourselves in the mirror in the morning and say, I am a horrible person.
People who have that ability.
Yes.
Some people aren't going to go there.
No, yeah, some people. But my generation, I'm talking about my generation
I know
specifically.
most of them won't go there, though.
Are you saying won't go to the mirror? Or what are you saying?
Yeah, they're not going to that real mirror.
Oh.
They're not going there.
Yeah.
They
but
live in denial.
that's true. That's another case. But I find that the people that I've chosen to hang around, yes, they have that negative voice, but they also try to overcome it and they fight it. And instead of being fake and acting like this so other people accept them, they act who they are. They act as who they are and say, "F everybody who doesn't accept me. Y'all can not be around me like you do." So
That's
I really
a choice.
think,
You
yeah,
have
it
to
is a
be
choice,
here.
100% a choice. And I thank God for my mom, because there was a time where I really did not accept myself at all, and she kind of instilled that, like, whoever said, I understand people are saying this about you, but why are you believing it, kind of thing. So,
Or who said it was bad?
yeah, or who said it was bad, yeah, because they would just make a statement like, my nose is big, but she'd be like, okay, and is that a bad thing? Like,
Just like what you said when you said, I'm like, is that the most terrible thing? Sometimes that's not a bad thing to do.
I think anybody who has that part would think it's a bad thing to do. I'm sorry, but
She's so silly.
yeah, it seems a little painful in my opinion.
It might be a little painful. Get into that BDSM.
More like cannibalism. But okay. Anyway, that's what I say.
Keyshawn?
No.
No, nothing? No, nothing at all? Okay. John?
Honestly, I can't be that transparent. I'm sorry. Not right now.
And that's true, but that's being transparent.
I would say I am transparent enough to let you know how I feel about certain things to a degree, and to be honest, because I'm an honest person. At the end of the day, I'm a very honest person, and I don't like to be dishonest to people. So if honesty is what they need, it's what I'm gonna give them. Do I sugarcoat it? Not really, unless if I go somewhere real deep where it's really just gonna crush your world, I'm not gonna say that because that's just rude.
Yeah,
and
he's not a soul
inconsiderate,
crusher.
But I do let some bombs go out sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have, but I'm like, they probably needed it, so whatever. But as of this particular point, and for a while now, it's kind of been, I can't be completely transparent because my transparent's going to hurt somebody. So, mine is more self-control.
Well, when I talk about being transparent, I'm talking about being transparent about yourself.
Oh, that's the
Not
craziest
that-
part. I love me, and I am very cool with me, but I know me can hurt people.
And you can hurt
So-
people. Everybody has the ability to hurt people. But me exposing myself and being real about who I am is not hurting anybody else.
And that's my problem right now. I don't really know how that's going to work for everybody else if I'm really me. If I'm truly me.
Well, I
the
think
way I'm always thinking.
I was gonna say
stuff in my head.
I think sometimes you're not who you actually think you are.
It could be, but the thing is, when it
I think
comes
there's
down
some
to
feelings because of some circumstances, some training, things that have been instilled in your
Yeah.
mind. Like
But it's
I
like-
make a joke about him being weapons of mass destruction. That's his little nickname that we call, and their little
But
cadence.
it's true, though.
Shoot him in the face, kill. I didn't make that up, guys. I didn't make that up. I really didn't. That's a cadence. Shoot him in the face, kill. Really? But if someone is drilling that into your head because that's what you have to have so that you survive,
That's all we know.
it is what it is. So am I going to be mad if Jonathan is in a situation where he has to literally defend himself? I'm not. Why am I going to be mad about that?
And that's my issue. I am
Why am I
trying
going to be mad
to,
about that?
like I said, I try to be as honest as possible, but right now, and like I said, I've kind of been working on it for a few years now, as best as I possibly can.
Now, I think, becoming the best, trying to be the best version of yourself wherever you are. Everybody's not going to be able to jump out and be where I am. And here's the other thing, guys. Remember, I'm an exhibitionist, okay? At the end of the day, I get up on stages with no clothes on, for the most part, right? A couple little pieces of linen. So I'm not ashamed of me. That's the whole. I think the fact that I became a bodybuilder out of all the stuff that went. When y'all read the book, you be like, how is she that?
If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
How is she that? You know, how did she get from here to here? Well, as you read, you'll see. You know, and so I'm not ashamed of me, and I'm so not ashamed of me that I'm just not ashamed of me. Let's just put it that way. I'll stand up on this. I get on stage with hardly no clothes on. So, and I don't come from that kind of a background. The background that I came from would be somewhat judgmental of that. Now the mindset and the mentality has changed a little, because now it's accepting that this is a sport, that physique arts is a sport. I'm a physique artist. It is a sport. And it is an art form, okay? And I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, if somebody else doesn't like it, they don't have to. But don't come trying to talk to me about it, because you're not going to get very far, you know?
That's what it is. I mean, that's what I've been telling a few people, and I've been talking to some very close friends of mine. They check in on me every now and then, because they saw what I was at a very dark point. So dark to the point that they almost didn't know who I was for a good second. They were like, I don't know this person anymore. And I think at that point there was some wake up calls.
Well, it was a shock and it was a scare.
Yeah, and it's just ever since then, what I have been trained to do, what I have been drilled to do, in my experiences over my life, my transparency can only go so far. I tell people all the time, I'm perfectly cool with me, but you're not always going to be very cool with me.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I'm very perfectly fine with what and who I am, but if I'm truly what and who I am with you, you might not be okay with that. Because what I truly am, mentally especially, can be very violent to the point where you think that might be a little off. Like there might be something wrong. You'd be like, well, no, where I come from right now, that's all I know. So, you know, in my world and my frame of reference, my truth isn't necessarily the, I guess, most accepted thing amongst others. So it's more of a isolation in a bit. It's one of those things that I have to figure out how to deal with that amongst myself first before I can kind of start to reveal that to other people. Because that, I was just telling my mom, I'm like, mine is kind of like, if you've ever watched any of the X-Men, Wolverine especially, I attribute a lot of my inner emotions to his rage. You know, and sometimes
you equate,
it's like,
you equate it like you think it's about equal.
Pretty much, it's right around there, and it's like people are like, how? You know, because the people that know me, truly know me before all the darkness, know me, you know, whatever. They have seen a side that would appear more pacifistic, appear, I guess, like to be kind of the social butterfly that really doesn't care too much, but it's just kind of cool, and you know, and honestly, that is what my nature is. But what I have trained to be, it's like this inner battle all the time. So
they don't know you then, because
well,
you was constantly throwing me against walls and stuff. So
well,
I don't know what kind of
here's the thing. The Wolverine, everybody loves Wolverine. Everybody is endeared to him.
Yeah.
Why are they endeared to him? Because he's real.
Yeah,
you know, and
that was the problem.
He was very real. He's honest, but he's also tormented. And he is true to his being, but he didn't always like having to do what he was doing, you know, and what he became. Problem. And so, but he was true to himself about it. And he was true that this, I don't like this about me. What I'm saying about being transparent, I'm not saying that I like everything about me. I'm saying that I accept who I am and who I've become, and I'm good with it because I recognize the areas where I have an opportunity to grow. Okay? I see where there's weaknesses. I don't think I've arrived and I'm perfect. Please don't take that away from this. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's about acceptance of self and love. That's your phone. No, that's your phone.
Are you guys done?
Oh,
No, not yet.
all right. No, I thought that was saying something else.
But
So-
yeah, I agree, and it's one of those things. Like I said, I accept me, but it's gonna be a while before
Everybody accepts you.
everybody gets to the point where my mentality and my I guess my view on the world itself and how I see other people can truly be understood and accepted. It's one of those things that how I see people in reality would be the complete opposite of what you would think I probably see a person as. You know, a lot, like I said, everybody sees me as the social butterfly. I'm the social butterfly because I know if I'm by myself, I'm gonna go crazy. So I need some type of stimulant somewhere. But the funny part is, on the ironic side of that, you stimulate me too much, now I want to kill you. So
I want to shoot you in the face, punch you in the
you know,
throat.
it's a work in progress, and that's all we really are looking for is to work on ourselves to be the best version of yourself. And it's a struggle, but we're working on it. I mean, we're definitely working on it. You know, I talk through some things, and that's one I think the best traits of our family. We're very vocal about a lot of things, so it's easy to talk about stuff. What's hard is to actually do it, because I sometimes, like I was just telling Brittany, I'm like, man, sometimes I'm angry. I just want to hit something. I can't really hit nothing. And I was just telling Mom, I was like, I can't truly actually hit nothing, because if I hit something, it ain't gonna be 1 or 2 or 3. It's gonna be a whole lot, and I'm breaking something.
But you know, he's used to sparring and used to being able to release that stuff. That's part of their training too.
Yeah.
You get to, you know, it's a physical. They have to take you someplace emotionally and mentally. So since you have to be there, you got to be able to get there, and then you have to be able to come away from there. You know what I'm saying? And so. I love my son. I love my daughter. I'm grown to love Keyshawn. Like I said, he's part of my family. This is my other son, you know. And at the end of the day, I would be willing to try to do whatever I can to reinforce for them that they are okay, that who they are, yes, there may be opportunity to grow, but you in and of yourself are good. You are good. You are someone who is valuable. People think that some people think they're not valuable. Everybody in my room, including my tiki right there, valuable. Not only valuable to me, but they're valuable to the world. And I know this world seems to be very harsh and doesn't, you know, show love. And that's why the theme was that we're going to continue to make sure that we try to show some love and share it. And this is the way I'm trying to do it. This is my effort, helping people to be liberated, helping people to accept themselves and know that it's okay. You can come on here and you can talk about you, and you're not going to get, oh my gosh, that's gross, or ooh, you're terrible. That's not going to happen here. I'm not going to say it, and nobody who's on the stream or on that feed is going to say it. Okay? So you have an opportunity. Anything I can do to assist at this stage in the game, because that also helps me grow. It's continuously helping me become the best version of me that I can be. And that's all I can strive to do. And in doing that, try to bring as many folk along with me to that on that journey to freedom. All right? So this has been Super J's True Confessions from the Desert Live with Super J and the Millennials. This was episode number 42. And in episode number 42, the topic was the torment of fear versus transparency. Which do you choose? Do you choose to be fearful, or do you choose to be free? Because transparency is synonymous with being free. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and the Millennials, and we will see you all again very soon. Smooches.